welcome everybody. And I am here today with Patti. But today we have a guest, Adam. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm feeling wonderful, thank you.
And welcome, Patti, to you too.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm a little bit kind of intoxicated. I've just finished like a huge Reiki circle. So
Yes.
I may take a little moment to kind of pull myself together.
Yes. Well, the podcast will do it.
Yeah.
So, Adam here is the producer of the Heal documentary that we've been seeing the trailers for, and I got the lucky chance to go to Sedona with Patti for the premiere, and I wanted to chat and discuss with Adam and Patti the experience of the making and what the film is about. So, Adam, can you share with us a little bit about your production company, I2I Productions? How did you get started with that?
Yeah, the company is uniting through entertainment and wisdom. So, in general, I happen to be lucky. I have this abundance of entertaining wisdom, which is cool because people need that. And that's what the company does. It was founded really when I started going to India, and then the first documentary, The Highest Pass, we were motorcycling through the Himalayas with my guru, and that got us going into the documentary world. Before that, I was doing mostly writing and comedy and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a natural transition, right?
Natural transition.
To documentary, yeah.
With extraordinary experiences.
Absolutely.
And how did you get interested in the Heal documentary project?
It was brought to, it's Kelly Noonan Goris, it's her baby.
Mm-hmm.
She directed the film, so she knew me through some other people, and we met. And I mean, of course, when you hear this idea and what she was trying to do, her intention, I was all about it. So I was very happy to be brought on to produce the movie. We called me the midwife in many ways, just to give birth to her baby. But
you've done a fabulous job.
Thank you. It's a real collaborative thing, as movies are, right?
Uh-huh.
Kelly, is a great director, and we all collaborate when it comes to ideas, and in the editing room, editing with Tina. So we're all just making it happen together.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, Patti, how did you get connected to the project?
There was a phone call that came through, but before that, there was, I had got the message that I needed to kind of reach more people. How could I actually remember the question. I was like, how can I, reach more people, but by doing the same stuff? And I was like, well, I'm writing my books, but it's not that. It was something different. And I had asked a friend who directed if he wanted to direct some EFT videos with me. And he said yes. And then he called me a few days later and said, there's 500,000 EFT videos on YouTube. Are you kidding me? He says, what are you doing this for? I says, because I got the message to do it. And obviously that's a no then from you. And I let it go. And then this phone call came through the next day.
Oh, wow.
Within 24 hours.
Within 24 hours, and said, hey, and I thought, okay, this is interesting. And obviously with what I do, I also want to meet the people who are doing it, because I want to know their intention. I had been approached before to do other documentaries and shows and things that I would sit with, and I would be like, I'll pass. And I wanted to have a phone call meeting with the producers and the directors to know what their intention was of the documentary and etc. So then they all came on the call, and then Adam, I remember, he knew Gamuk. And he had read my bio about Gamuk and how Gamuk had endorsed me, and that was a fun story.
That was important.
That was a really long time ago, though.
And that was a very long time ago. That was just before she was on the front cover of Vanity Fair as the Queen of Kundalini.
Wow.
And I had just arrived here, and not knowing who Gamuk was, not knowing Golden Bridge, they say ignorance is bliss. Well, it certainly was at that point. And I just emailed them and said I wanted to do Reiki at Golden Bridge, and I needed to come in and have a meeting with them. And I did, and then she came into the meeting because I was with the events director, and she grilled me for 2 hours. And I know when I'm being interrogated, and she said, I'm going to endorse you. Do you know what that means? And she said it in such a way that she was staring at me with such do you know what that means? And I didn't really. Yeah. Because, you know, when things are in flow, you sometimes take things for granted. And I'm glad at that moment she said to me, do you know what this means? Because she wasn't telling me, because next week I'm going to be in the front cover of Vanity Fair and you're going to be splashed all over my website. So it made me, I was like, well, yes, but maybe no. But I'm glad you kind of pointed this out. Yeah. And I've always been thankful she did that, because here was someone who for decades has given their life to the path of Kundalini and Yogi Bhajan, and, you know, to let me know, don't take this moment for granted, because that happens a lot. Yeah. And I really appreciated it. And yeah, she did. She endorsed me and put me out there, and I was extremely grateful and still grateful to this day. So we had this connection about Gamuk, because Adam knows Gamuk as well, and her work, and then I came in to meet them, and that was also kind of like, I still wasn't kind of taking it too seriously at this point, because I had a kind of conversation, and, you know, a lot of people say they're going to do things in Hollywood and Los Angeles, and they don't do it. So I went along, and then when I was waiting in the foyer, they said, we're going to go up in this elevator. And it was a giant O, which my connection to the O is very big. And so I get in this elevator, and I hear, uh-oh. And I'm like, oh, this is real, right? This is big. This is big. And so I kind of went to the restroom and kind of gathered myself, and then I walked in, and there they all were. Yeah. So I knew there were signs along the way that told me that this was what I had to do and be in.
And then besides you, there were a lot of like workers, healers, a lot of experts chosen. How did your team, Adam and Kelly's team, start with that process? Like how did you come out, like, oh, you know, like out of those 500,000 EFT videos, how did you find Patti?
No, it's a great question. You know, had I had worked with Patti beforehand, it would have been a no-brainer, because I've worked with her since, and now I know her, what she does, and it's amazing. But not knowing, right, a lot of people, you know, how do you choose, and how do you find the right people or trust the right people?
Or even the participants that came through, you know, in the documentary came forward with their stories. So we'll start there with the subjects, the people that we follow. One of them, Elizabeth, a wonderful story, stage 4 cancer. I won't give away too much, but it's not like an edge of the seat. It's not meant, you know, like a edge of the seat type of drama thriller like that. But she goes through a lot of different stages through the film. But the cool thing is we found Elizabeth through some certain channels and different friends, and she had been filming her own journey for 3 years. So we had this kind of found footage. She was filming it because she was kind of preparing to die. Yeah. She's like, and at least I want to show people my process along the way. And we thought that was really sweet that she wanted to share it. And so we have this found footage from her. And then Eva, who's in the film, happens to work at the same office as Kelly. And Kelly, as you'll see in the film, didn't know she was sick. And she had been sick for 3 years and just hiding it. 133 million people in the U.S. have chronic illness that is incurable. Okay, wow. So there's people out there that are like, okay, they don't know how to cure this. And it's 40% of America has at least one of these chronic illnesses. And it's normalized. It's normalized. Super. Like you were saying, we've been trained into like just saying, oh, I'm fine, even when there's something going on.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely. And we hide it, or we take a little pill to cover it, or this and that. And rarely do we get down to the root cause. And Western medicine's not really offering a lot for chronic illness. You know, acute illness, injuries, they do great work. Chronic illness, it's not offering people. And that's why there's so much push behind this film, so much demand for this film. But Eva, we found in the office. So Kelly found out, oh my gosh, you know, what's been going on? What are these things? Skin blotches and blisters. And so that's how we found Eva. And she's like, let's help you and let's follow you on the journey. So she's real time. And then we, with Eva, brought her to Patti. Right? Because, we knew you, but Eva had not known you. So we're like, hey, this is one aspect, the emotional healing, that you might want to take a look at, that I would say she really wasn't taking a look at much. Yeah. So that's how we found her.
It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. Well, you know, they had brought me someone. That's usually not how my process works. My process is people circle me for a few years and go, oh, I know I need to go to her. But I don't want to, but I'm gonna. And then they have this surrender moment, whereas Eva was being brought to me.
Yeah.
So there's a difference even in the, and also there was a lot of not even realizing that certain things have affected her in her life. So that was a layer that was even just the first layer to open.
Yeah.
That of the story, when she told me certain things and I could feel it and I could see it. And I said to even, I think Kelly and you, Adam, I don't know if on camera whether this is going to happen, because she is in so denial that anything of her emotional intelligence, and then she went there, you know, which was very brave of Eva, and very you know, and not even just brave to go there, but to go there in front of cameras.
That's
and I had also kind of created that energy where the cameras became invisible and they became part of the healing, right? They became them being the witness became part of the session,
immersed into
that. Community too, like the crew. You know, we were oming before we shoot. You know, we're holding space in that way that it probably might have helped in some way. Like she had
it
family.
really did. It did, because the cameraman said to me afterwards, who was, you know, he was very much not a big conversational person. You know, he just did his work and left. And he said, he got me kind of like afterwards, and he said, you know, he says, like, I did my Reiki years ago and my hands went on fire when I was holding the camera. And I was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. You were sending his energy. And then the DP, he said to me that he had a moment, you know, during the session as well for himself. I mean, it was a very intense, you know, energy that day.
Yeah.
So it was, and Kelly had said to me, she knew that she wanted someone who had worked with veterans, because that was her thing.
That's right.
And then she saw my videos with veterans.
That's
so although I never did work with veterans
on the
that's, she knew, and that's how she found, she came across my videos, which I had done 5 or 6 years before. So it's,
and we did film a veteran, but it just didn't end up making it in. But that was our route to you.
That was
so it all kind of works out.
Yeah, I think when you just trust that you'll be sent the right thing and the right people, and my intention saying, how can I reach more people? And then my friend not wanting to film, well, then a crew came in.
Yeah, like the whole crew manifested.
And in terms of, well, first of all, that part of the movie is fantastic. People really resonate. Because she is so vulnerable and the work is so powerful. There's a good, I'd say, almost 12-minute chunk where we're in this, you know, in the work, where not a lot of movies would let you be in the work, you know, seeing it happen. Rather, oh, this is something that you could do.
It's always the after narration. It's not in it.
Yeah, this worked for me, or whatever. This is just, you're in it, you get to see it, you make up your own mind for what's going on or what's up with her. It's a really, really powerful part of the movie. We love it. It's really, really good.
And it was powerful. I don't know if you felt it. I certainly felt it in the theater with 700 people when their heart cracked open.
Sure.
In that moment.
Oh my gosh.
Was I mean, I was tapping in the foyer. People in process.
Oh my gosh.
I was in the foyer where people were telling me things that they had never told anybody before, you know, having not a meltdown, but they were in process. And I was like, you know, I don't really want you going home like this. Maybe let's just go in this corner over here. So yeah, that's why I was saying I feel there's responsibility to do aftercare videos of warning. You may actually have a healing watching heal.
We'll put the warning on it.
Yeah,
you know, kind of like what rappers do.
Because I had to Reiki my brains before and during the movie. I told her after that. I was raking my head.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
I've even in some pre-screenings when we were getting notes from people that have done a lot of work, know a lot of yogic philosophy, just are quite exposed or deep in this world, watched the screener and said, I was still having profound insights into myself. You know, it's like some of it was, I knew, but I was still going deep enough where I was having the experience along with it. We're like, okay, we're doing something right.
Yeah, totally. That's what I've heard as well.
Yeah.
But Scott put up the thing on Indie, and he, for the first time, told his story. You can see it. It's not Scott Bentley, and he talks about his mother passing and how he'd went to John of God, he'd went to this, biked all the way down to John O'God on his motorcycle. You know what I mean? He's done a lot. He went to India. But it had a profound effect on Scott.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's great. It has that power. And someone that hasn't done the work can watch this film and just be cracked open enough. Like, it's very accessible too. The film is
that
very
what you were looking to share with the audience as your intention, the message from the documentary?
Absolutely. We do a lot of work on figuring out what the real nut of the film is, what it's saying. Kelly's vision from the beginning was, hey, I know all these amazing experts, all this information. It's got to be in the general in the general framework. People need to know this. People come to me and I have to tell them everything. I think it was just to make her life easier, because so many friends would always ask her advice. Now she can go, just watch my movie.
Just go.
So I think that's why she did it.
would agree to that one too. Just go watch the movie.
Just go watch the movie. Come back to me. You have any questions?
If you want to do work with me,
you can go see the movie. But so that was her intention behind it. And then we started really focusing it. And again, in terms of process or how we found people, a lot of it's intuition. And me just trusting Kelly and what she's drawn towards, and yes-anding, which I learned in, improv comedy. And it's just like, okay, yes. And how do we build on it? Fine. How do we get it done? We'll get it done. Doesn't matter. We'll make it work. But it really became about, in essence, shifting people's mindset to show that they have the power to heal. And people might not realize that we've been taught we're victims in many ways, victims of our disease, or victims of a system, a Western system that's telling us this is the only way. So we're in control. We have the pills. We're the doctor. We're in control. And it's this material thing. And when it leaves the material world and there's more emotional work or thought work or belief work or holistic work, you actually have more power as a person that might have illness. So we really wanted to empower people and take away the victimhood.
And I think it does that. Yeah, when I sent it to my parents to see, my mother said, that's it. I'm going to get a picture of my liver and get rid of this scar tissue.
That is amazing.
Cool. She said, she was adamant about it. I'm going to do what that Joe guy did. I was like, Joe Dispenza? Yes, that's him. That's what I'm going to do. And my mother's never felt empowered around it. She's always just taking the pill, taking the thing. And something cracked open in my mother that she realized that she had been absent in participating in her own healing.
I know.
That's what I think it gives. It's the permission to participate.
Beautifully said. And it's not their fault. We've been taught otherwise.
No.
We've been taught, no, you just come to us. We take care of you.
Listen, this is my mother. She should know this.
Yeah,
right? She's also a student. But it did something to my mother that just cracked her open to say, yes, I'm giving myself permission. Yeah, I mean, that's what I teach. That's what I'm teaching. But this did it in a different way to crack the nut. It was fantastic. But I also think what it also does is it looks at how we deny ourselves, what we need to do and why we don't do the things that are good for us.
Yeah.
I think it also leaves that question. Someone said that to me after the screening. They were like, oh, why didn't she go further with it? And I says, maybe you should ask yourself that about your own path. Why don't you do the things that you know you need to do?
Yeah.
That's the overall arc for us all. If that's the bit that stands out to you, that's the bit you need to ask yourself about.
Absolutely. Not pointing the fingers there. It's like,
it's a mirror. Yeah. And it's like, thank you for you going through your thing, because I'm doing the same thing. Where can I do it, and where can I empower other people to shift through that block? Because that's the $1 million question. Why doesn't the alcoholic stop drinking? Why doesn't the person who's a drug addict stop taking drugs? Why doesn't the person eat well? Why is the person so obese? Why is the person, it's like, because there's no emotional components that they're just not ready to be there. And this, I think, gives people more permission to be like, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do. So it has two things for me in there.
That's key. Kelly from the beginning was always like possibility.
Totally.
Let's make sure it has possibility in it, so people think they can.
Yeah, and that's like considering what's happening with the healthcare system in America. I think having something like this where people participate in the emotional component and the spiritual component of their own well-being is very essential.
I think it's so important. Well, it's called preventative care for a reason. It prevents care.
Yeah.
And the care, and it's for you to take care, for you to care. Sometimes it's like we want everybody else to care about us, but we need to care. You need to care about yourself. It's the first port.
Yeah. And then, Adam, you've made the highest pass in which you were featuring your own journey, and that was like a big shift for you. In this particular one, how did you feel any shifts for you witnessing other people's journey? Any particular experiences that stood out for your personal self?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the highest pass, there's an actual physical journey of a motorcycle through the Himalayas, through traffic, avalanches, etc., over the highest road in the world. But on a real level, it's more of an inner journey. Right? The highest pass is inside ourselves.
Yes.
And Hio is very similar, where these people are going through their inner journeys. It's a physical level. It's probably a bigger journey, bigger adventure than any of us will realize. You know, health is the most important thing for people. And then for us on the crew, there's always the journey of the film. And from the beginning, we were always saying, let's live the message of the film. And I was big on that. Like, we'd set out intentions every week. We'd get together, we'd set, hey, this is what I'm working on this week. You know, I'm just working on my ego a little bit. I realize that, you know, I'm a little stuck on this part of the story. I'm going to try and let that go, be a nicer person. You know, these are the normal meetings we would do every week. And, you know, I routinely would be saying, I want to live the message of the film, not let something stress me out. Or if I am, express it, as you were saying today, express it. I'm feeling stressed out about this. I'm angry about this. And not hold things. So even up until, gosh, we were doing some editing just the other day, which would be strange for you to hear we were editing again, but because the movie's done. But
leave it alone.
And Kelly was like, you know, is this, you know, frustrating you that we're editing it? And I'm like, no. I'm like, the universe is obviously sending this one part of the movie back in my face again. For me, like, it has a lot to do with forgiveness and letting go of resentment. I'm like, so I'm just listening to that, like, versus like really caring about my agenda of getting the film done. It's just like, no, the universe is giving me this one line, a 30-second bit all day today. I'm like, okay, that's what I'm working on. So that's, you know, our journey as filmmakers. We're living it. You know, we're hearing the words day in, day out, and we're really absorbing a lot. And if we want to practice it, if you don't want to practice it, fine. But it is like, again, it's participation.
It's right in your face. It's like you're making a film, and then it's like, how do you live that message?
You have to.
It's a big responsibility for yourself.
You have. Thich Nhat Hanh said, like, I won't let anyone make a movie on me that's not in the practice of what we teach. He's like, oh, what's the point?
What's the point? What's the point of that?
Yes.
Oh, we're perpetuating the same problem otherwise. You know,
totally.
Someone goes, oh, you're going to make $1 million in this? I'm like, that is not the intention. That's not what we started. Like, they were like,
that'd be nice, though.
You know, so well, relax, you know. First of all, it's not a problem yet. Yeah. But that wasn't the intention of the film. It was to help empower people. Yeah.
But that's always where people go, isn't it? It's like, oh, you're going to make, that's why you, that's like, there's a formula.
Yeah.
Rather than it goes back to my story of asking a person to film me for the EFT as do it together, and it's kind of like, well, what's the point? What's the point? Is there $1 million at the end of it? Yeah. No, there's not $1 million at the end of it. You still gonna do it? No. Yeah. You know, I mean, you take that, and that's not why creatives collaborate. They collaborate because they're drawn together by an idea, a notion, something that dropped in, and something that drops in with you, and you discuss it, and you're like, oh, that could be a thing. We should do that. We should, and then it happens. Yeah. And then people go, oh, you did that because you knew it was going to be $1 million. And you're like, enough. Enough of like what's in it for me. But that tells me more about that person than it does about the film.
Absolutely.
Because that's if it's not going to make $1 million, why should I do it? And then they don't do anything. Because you then really just don't give what you've got. And whether it's going to make $10 or whether it's going to, you know what I mean? When I did the Reiki circle today, I mean, I remember my mother saying to me years ago, she says, like, my mother's like the voice of doom sometimes. What if no one shows up? I says, then I'll be playing a singing bowl myself.
Yeah, right. You still do it.
Yeah. And she was like, oh. And she realized that didn't frighten me off. And, but it's like if one person shows up to your event, then do the event like there's 20 people at your event. If like 5 people and that's when you're doing it, I think, for you're dropped in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then what shifted for you, Patti? Because it's been over a year since Eva came, and then
I tell you,
the whole
it
process.
was very clear for me when I saw it on screen, and the effect that it had on certain people in the theatre, and the messages that I've had emailed and phone calls, etc. since then was how much I take for granted what I can do. Because when I see it, like with on screen, I do that every single day.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3 to 4 times a day.
Yeah.
That I've become a little bit blasé about it. A little bit numb, a little bit like, is this really making an impact? And then you know, because people walk away, go, oh, and it's only, I think now, like Kali said to me, she actually is ready to tell her story about her Hodgkin's lymphoma. And she said, you know, I really want to talk about the work that we did and da-da-da, and I want to share that. And I'm starting to realize the impact of what I can channel and what I can do, because I think I was taking it a little bit for granted.
Wow.
So seeing it on screen was like, wow, I need to be doing this a lot and a lot more and in different ways. So yeah. Because you don't really kind of see yourself doing it. You know there's sessions that you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Gosh,
oh, yeah, I've been there.
If that was
amazing.
filmed, you know, that could affect 10,000 people with the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, just what else is possible?
What else is possible? And, you know, talking about the film, because I've been working with you for a long time, but then recently we've done some video recordings, and then when I see myself in replay, I'm like, oh my God, that's what I was going through there. Like, some of those moments are big. Yes, because it's taking people to that place of that intense vulnerability that you normally wouldn't go. Yeah.
It's like being in a place of intense intimacy and vulnerability that you have danced around all your life, and then you see it and you're like, that's it.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've been like carrying this burden for 20 years or 60. I've worked with people in their 80s and 90s who have wanted to let some stuff go, and that's like beautiful, you know, that they can and they give themselves permission. But yeah, it's very, very different when you see it, and that's what it gave me. It gave me a place of gratitude and not taking for granted this work.
Yeah.
That becomes so innate.
Mm-hmm.
It's like someone who's got a really great voice, you know, that sings all the time. They don't really know that they can sing. Like Whitney Houston didn't know she knew she had a powerful voice, but you kind of are like, You get to a stage, I think, that you're just like, you take it for granted.
You do, yeah.
Just like filmmaking. I'm sure you take for granted the things that you've done. You're like, oh, isn't everybody got a lens like this? Doesn't everybody see the world like this?
Yeah, I sometimes forget that not everyone has a guru, and then not everyone's gone to India and gone through like quests to find themselves. And I'm like, oh, that's really important, and it's important that I've done that and seen some deep things in myself, because not everyone has. That's part of why we made the movie. It was like, oh, not everyone's going to get a chance to do it in this way.
Yeah.
I'm speaking of the highest pass at this point, but not everyone will see these places or see an oracle. It's a really good reminder, and then seeing this finished product of Heal, being like, oh wow, like we did do a lot of work. You know, we worked really hard. We trusted a lot. It was just a lot of. It was
a lot of trust work. Yes.
A lot of trust. I mean, we didn't know you that well either. It was just trusting your work, trusting these are the right people, trusting the story will tell itself. Mm-hmm. Documentary filmmaking is a lot of discipline and trust. Mm-hmm. It's strange. You just have to be disciplined enough so that the creativity will just hit you. That's at least my process.
Yeah.
You keep doing the work. You're putting the pieces together, moving around, then boom, you get hit. But it's rarely like exactly like
because you don't have a script.
You don't have a script.
You don't have a script.
It's real.
But I also think you leave space for the magic to happen.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, good documentarians, I think they are there with the camera ready for that thing to happen.
Absolutely.
That they can capture in the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a process.
That's lovely. Well, I'm certainly glad that the documentary, I got a healing. I don't know what happened when I was raking my head in the theater there, but certainly something big shifted just even in Sedona. And then Patti, you were in Sedona around the same time last year, and then you going back to Sedona with this.
And it was so funny because when I'd been in Sedona, with some people, and this wasn't even in my vortex. I mean, I hadn't even had the calls or whatever, but I'm in Sedona, and then I go back to Sedona as part of this amazing project, and that also hit me in Sedona of like, oh yeah, what else do I not know is going to happen next year?
Yeah.
Like any place you go,
you don't really know what can happen in a year. What else is possible?
That's something that was hitting me actually during the Reiki session today, of like, rather than strategizing and really even visualizing a future, like I was saying, let's go a little beyond that and just connect to me, 40 years from now, and how does that man feel? What does he know? Just connect to that and let that pull through. I don't need to know like the little pieces. It's really kind of small if you think about it.
Yeah.
Just let something else pull through, and hey, gosh, look at us in a year. Where are we?
Yeah. Let's come off the canvas. There's the canvas that you can paint, that but let's go beyond the canvas.
Yeah, beyond the canvas. Is that your new foundation?
Is that the new documentary?
Maybe it is. Beyond the canvas. Maybe it is. On the canvas. It'll be on PBS with that guy. The guy. He's popular now again. Have you seen it? I love it.
Oh my god!
Bring him back.
Oh. So then, the next weekend we have a screening in Maui.
Yeah,
do you want to share what's happening in Maui with the documentary?
Absolutely. Maui Film Festival, really amazing festival. They do a lot of outdoor screenings, have a lot of just grand balls and parties, and it's very it has it's documentaries and narrative features, but the spirit of Maui obviously is coming through. We shot some on Maui. So Deepak Chopra, we shot on Maui about a year ago. But we'll be there on June 25th, so Sunday at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
We're screening on Sunday for anyone who's in Maui or is now inspired to go to Maui.
Yes. If you're listening to this and if you've been thinking about Maui, there is a reason.
There is a reason. And
that's a big sign.
The Four Seasons also is going to do a special thing for Kelly and a special promotion of the film on the 22nd.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
In Maui?
In Maui at the Four Seasons. Especially they call it the cocktail hour that they do, the owner's cocktail hour. They're going to honor her in the film and get people to go.
Wow. I'm really looking forward to talk to Kelly next, definitely. And what about local screenings? What about future distribution plans? Where can people can just log into Netflix and be like, I need to watch Heal on a Friday night because I need to get a cleansing.
Great, exactly. That's how it should be. In the short term, they should go to our website, Heal Documentary, put in their email, and then we'll keep them up to date. We're working on the distribution. It will be out in theaters. We'll do that in New York and LA, and probably even beyond. More than likely in the fall of 2017, and then that's followed up with the digital and the rest. But all that's being decided. You never know. We're already getting offers from networks. I'm already
thinking like translating into other languages because I'm like, can this go to India?
Oh no, absolutely. We have there's Maui Film Festival. We'll be showing in Boston on September 24th.
Oh, wonderful.
These are festivals / expos. That's the Natural Awakenings. That magazine.
Oh yes.
They have an expo in Boston, so we're going to screen there. People from Australia, people from a lot of countries are reaching out saying, where can we screen this? Can we screen this for our community? It's 500 people, 1,000 people.
Fantastic.
And those are cool places to do it, to be honest, in addition to the theatrical, because then you really motivate the audience and you get them to spread the word. And it's an experience, right? It's an experience. So no concrete dates, but go to the website.
Yes, definitely. And, even on Facebook page, on Instagram, and Pause and Joy will keep putting up updates as we know more.
Yeah, because there may be an LA screening, I heard, for friends and family. There used to be a lot of friends and family, many people are in
If you want to be friends with us now is the time.
Yeah.
To be invited to the friends and family.
I'm sure there will be at some point like a they do the pre-premiere before it comes out in theaters to motivate people. So stay friends with Patti.
Stay friends with Patti. And then I want to definitely...
That's a new foundation, Friends with Patti.
Yeah,
Friends with Patti.
Oh, that's so cute.
The Reiki Patti, Rockstar Patti.
No, that's Scott. That's taken, isn't it, Scott?
Oh. And then as a healer, as somebody who sees the work and the shift in people, Patti, I want to ask you if you have a message for somebody who ends up watching the film and is in a space where they don't understand what's happening. Any recommendations for them? Or
well, I really want to do some videos, whether, I've spoken to Adam about it, and we'll do some videos that we will be able to do some meditations, maybe some breath work, some EFT videos that we can do that, if you're feeling overwhelmed by what it is that you've been sitting on or coping with or managing that just bubbles up to the surface, just let it bubble up and breathe through it. It's kind of like your Kundalini rising. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to breathe through it, and we'll give some videos to help you go through that process. And then people who already have a practice, they'll know what that's best for them, whether they need Reiki themselves, or they need to go to a yoga class, or they need to do meditation. And there's lots of different ways that you can work through this process before you go on your quest and your path and what you choose. And my whole thing is, there's lots of things to choose from. There's Buddhist practices, there's Tibetan practices, there's finding your guru, there's learning Reiki, there's whatever you're attracted to, just choose one.
Yeah, there's no one better than the other. It's whatever you need.
Whatever you gravitate to, choose that.
Well, thank you so much, Adam, and thank you, Patti. I had so much fun talking to you about the Heal documentary, and we're looking forward for more information. Again, if you have any questions, you can send it to me. I am Soffeah, and we have our Facebook page at Pause and Joy, and then you can find the links in the YouTube descriptions of this podcast. And enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.